I've been a little out of the loop when it comes to political endorsements lately, mostly because I never think a single one of them ends up turning the tide on anything. It's like, oh wow, Taylor Swift after the debate came out and endorsed Kamala Harris. Who's shocked by that at all whatsoever, and who actually really cares that airhead made her political intentions completely known. It's like, we already knew which way you were going to go. And while everybody thinks, oh, no, there's a lot of Swifties that are out there, they don't even know when the election is, bro. Like, they won't even turn up to the booth. It's not going to matter. You look at the polls right now, and if you've done anything in regards to following previous elections, yeah, things are doing good. Things are going fine. I'm just waiting for October for something crazy to happen, and I've got something in the back of my head that, you know what, I'm kind of thinking, because certain situations always seem to happen in threes, and God, you know my proclivities, and you know who I'm supporting in this race. It's like, it's Trump or bust, baby. But I don't want that to happen. I don't want what I think is likely to happen to end up coming to fruition. It's too dark, it's too black of a thought, and hell, it's even blacker than this political thought right here. Well, Janet Jackson recently came out, not with an endorsement of Kamala Harris, but in fact with an old axe to grind, if you will. Janet Jackson believes U.S. election will end in mayhem. Yeah, that's what a lot of smart and learned pundits who have been around the block a while have been saying, that, yeah, if you think that everything is going to be done in early November, brother, one way or another, we're not seeing the light of day until at least inauguration, perhaps until Easter. Shit's going to get weird. It's going to get crazy fast. It's just right now is the calm before the storm. But yes, falsely claims Kamala Harris is not black. Well, it depends on which audience she's talking to, because she could be Indian, the way that she was touted as being the first Indian female senator. Sorry, need to get my DEI boxes checked appropriately. I was told that they discovered her father was white. No, he was just a slave owner. I understand that you might think that, based on a lot of media that's out there, but no, her father was Jamaican. He wasn't African. Like, it gets it's so difficult, especially when you're trying to play within the framework of these ideologues. But no, he's not a foundational black. So her claiming to be African American is only contingent on her membership to the Democrat Party. So I guess Janet's technically right, because to some groups, no, she wouldn't be black. She would be an islander. But to others, she's Indian, and to the rest of the world, she's just a whore. Janet Jackson warned voters of the potential chaos surrounding the upcoming November election in a recent interview with The Guardian. The Grammy-winning singer also repeated false claims of Vice President Kamala Harris's racial identity. Well, you know what they supposedly say. What she's doing the Trump right here. People tell me all the time that Mala, it's not something I say, but people tell me that she's not black. She's not black. That's what I heard. That she's Indian. Well, that's indisputable. That's her mother. That's her mother's side. Okay. When informed that Harris is both black and Indian, Jackson pushed back, asserting that the presidential nominee's father is neither. Well, like I said, it depends certain things, and if you want to go really deep into the rest of his ethnic background, things get a little squirrely. Her father's white. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days, so yeah, who knows? She flip-flops on everything. She switches positions on the regular. So I don't know what she's claiming these days. I was told that they discovered her father was white. Presidential nominee Donald Trump told journalists in August. Oh my God, yeah, this is another thing that was completely and totally taken out of context. His Democratic opponent, Harris, turned black for political gain. Which, yeah, if you've been following this stuff long enough, you know that that's definitely up Kamala's alley when it comes to selling herself. Several things have been up her alley. But normally when you're trying to pander to an audience, it's for a victory. Kamala has very little success when it comes to achieving an actual victory, but she continues on with these same old tired tactics. Harris's father has been confirmed to be a Jamaican immigrant. Yes, he came to the U.S. to pursue a PhD in economics. Her mother, who died in 2009, was an Indian immigrant. Variety has reached out to Jackson's representation for comment, and frankly, the response was even more confusing than the original out-of-context statements were to begin with. Janet Jackson's apology for ill-informed comments about Kamala Harris was not authorized. So there's a lot to unpack right there, and let's take a look. The unauthorized apology, first reported by BuzzFeed and repeated by multiple major outlets, was made by a man named Mo El Masari, who apparently inaccurately claimed to be the singer's manager. It read, Janet Jackson would like to clarify her recent comments. She recognizes that her statement regarding Vice President Kamala Harris's racial identity were based on misinformation. Janet respects Harris's dual heritage as both black and Indian and apologizes for any confusion caused. She values the diversity Harris represents and understands the importance of celebrating that in today's society. Janet remains committed to promoting unity and understanding. Now, here's the thing. I read a statement like that and immediately, I know it's kind of crap. Okay, like I'm not going to pretend to be a Jackson family historian, but I've done a fair amount of research and watched a fair amount of information on her brother and know how, tight and close their relationship was, not in a creepy Targaryen or Disney sort of way, but in so much as their values, their opinions on the world were very, very closely linked. And MJ wasn't about, touting that he's black, okay? In the later days, it was much more difficult to tell that he was actually black, but he wasn't out there to sow division to simply check boxes, and Janet is very much that same type of person. So for her to have a statement that says, she values the diversity Harris represents and understands the importance of celebrating immutable characteristics, that doesn't wash, okay? I think we could all think that something was up, and then you ended up getting the information that it was an unauthorized apology. And after a confusing turn of events on Sunday, reps for Janet Jackson tell Variety that the unusually worded apology for the singer's ill-informed comments about Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris's racial background was made by a person who is not the singer's manager, as he had claimed, and thus was not authorized to speak on her behalf. But that's not where the story ends either. However, the singer has been managed by her brother Randy for many years. The siblings are said to be mourning their older brother Tito, who died last Sunday at the age of 70, and unavailable for comment. Oh, I didn't know Tito passed away. That sucks. My condolences for whatever they're worth. Not contracted, that's what Kamala specializes in. Contacted by Variety, El Masari claimed in an email, I no longer work for her. I was fired by Janet and Randy after attempts to improve her image in front of the public opinion and her fans, and this is something I do not deserve. Oh, so you were trying to ingratiate yourself, but then you didn't realize that your services, weren't needed and were not required. He then offers all my support to Vice President Harris. Of course, man. We'd seen what was written. Jackson's reps did not immediately have a response, although sources close to her tell her team tell Variety that El Masari is not known to have been directly associated with the singer. Jackson's comments about the vice president were part of a recent interview with The Guardian that also saw the singer expressing concern about the potential chaos surrounding the upcoming November election. She's expressed uncertainty about the information that she had been told about Harris's racial background. So to put a little cap on this saga, not only has she refused to issue a subsequent apology of her own, Janet is secretly, I don't know if it's secretly, but more or less realizing that, Kamala hasn't really been nice to our family, which eagle-eyed viewers have spotted that, back when she was just a little prosecutor down there in Santa Barbara, California, she was working on the case that tried to lock up Michael. It's very interesting, and we're going to take a look at this little press clip that I see right here. This tells you everything you need to know. Kamala Harris, seen back in 2003 or 4, was actively working with the Santa Barbara police trying to destroy Janet Jackson's brother and send him to jail, while Donald Trump defends Michael. And something that I heard Razorfist talk about, shout out to him, was that it took 30 years for this story to come to light, where you will have Kamala Harris go ahead and claim fake African heritage. Okay, I'm black. I'm African American, like all of these people that I bus in to perform prior to my speech that I give, so it makes it look like I can actually draw an audience. I can twerk and drink 40s just like the rest of you, right? Like, I'm black too. It's fantastic. Michael and Trump, they were actually doing things in Africa. Like, I forget where, and I don't know if Razor pointed it out or anything like that, but nobody took credit for it. And it took 30 years for this story to come to light, but Trump and MJ founded and funded a burn ward in Africa. They didn't tell anybody about it. They just did it because they're good people. There are many instances of just this silent charity that MJ did when he was alive and that Trump has been doing throughout his entire life. Real G's move in silence. Others want to claim victimhood and camaraderie in order to try to fit in wherever they can get in. And this right here, this clip, which we'll get to, yeah, Michael Jackson was later vindicated on all charges and proven innocent, might be a reason why Kamala's not Janet's not exactly racing to the press in order to issue any kind of an apology in quick fashion. Just saying.
That could mean life in prison, and cases like this can depend on the testimony of the child accuser.
In general, the child will be able to recall and recollect with some detail the incident, and that is persuasive to a jury, even if it is the only testimony that is available.
Oh, and that happened, and those kids couldn't recall anything during that time. Again, shout out to Razorfist for his great Michael Jackson breakdown videos where he goes through and looks at the court documents, where he watches all of the interviews, where he gets the facts and comes to the reasonable conclusion MJ is innocent, and that MJ could very well end up being patient zero for Me Tooing. Just saying.
Jackson gave a wave when he was released after booking. He's scheduled for arraignment in January.
Michael's been a long-time resident of Trump Tower, and last night the Donald strongly reiterated his defense of Jackson with Larry King by going after the accuser's mother.
She's had plenty of experience at going after people, and she goes after them viciously and violently, and I saw a story and I read another story about some of the things she's done, and I don't believe it.
But you know what it's like when an indictment comes down.
It's tough.
It's presumption.
It's tough. It's tough to win, but I have a feeling he's going to win, Larry. The interesting thing is I've known Michael from many different standpoints, and Michael would spend a lot of time with my kids. I have beautiful kids, and at the time, like at Mar-a-Lago, and even in Trump Tower, the kids were very young. Michael would come, play with the kids. He just loved children. He was not a child molester, and I am certain of that. He loved children. He'd play with my son Eric and my son Donald, and he'd just play with them forever. He loved children, but he was not a child molester. And, you know, that whole final saga of Neverland and the police and what they did was, I think, a very, very bad part of Michael's life.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what happened, man. I forget exactly whose mother that was, but yeah, she was caught on several different recordings. Actually, several of the parents of the different kids, kids that were used as props to try to secure a bag from MJ. They were lying for clout. They got caught in several different lies, and that's why none of the charges stuck. It's what Trump's gone through, and it's what Kamala Harris cut her teeth on at the different DA's offices that she worked at, pursuing crimes that are not there in order to achieve easy convictions by getting people in precarious situations to plead to lesser crimes. She's not a good person. She's not an honest person. And it's situations like this, and her aggressively pursuing an innocent man, it's probably the reason why that innocent man's sister is holding a bit of a grudge and taking jabs whenever they're available. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.